Mr. Chairman, good morning, and I want to thank our witnesses for your testimony today and for your service to our nation. My constituents and I have obviously a lot of questions about the planning that led up to this, and I'll admit that I'm concerned that based on the conditions on the ground, General Milley and General McKenzie recommended against final withdrawal. I wish the administration had been more thoughtful and not had rushed this. I've yet to hear an answer to the question, though, of why did we not start withdrawing American citizens and SIVs sooner? We knew we were going to be withdrawing, whether we started doing that withdrawal of the Americans and SIVs in January or May or sooner than the actual execution of the order to withdraw. I'd like that question answered. Also, Secretary Austin, given the General's concerns, were the discussions about pushing the withdrawal back to spring of 2022 or conditioning it on the criteria in the Doha agreement to ensure that we did the handoff correctly? We already weren't going to fully withdraw by May 2021. And Secretary Austin, what was the military rationale of leaving by the end of August when the Taliban are at their strongest in the fighting season, as opposed to waiting in the winter months when there's more of a lull in the Taliban fighting season, where it's a relatively low level of activity and they're at their weakest? I'd just stop with those questions.
And I'm sorry, before you get into it, I'm going to stick to the 5-minute rule. So when the clock hits 0, we're going to move on to other people. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. On the issue of why we didn't bring out civilians and SIVs sooner, again, the call on how to do that and when to do it is really a State Department call. We provided input, as I said in my opening statement, to the State Department. Their concerns, rightfully, were that, number one, they were being cautioned by the Ghani administration that if they withdrew American citizens and SIV applicants at a pace that was too fast, it would cause a collapse of the government that we were trying to prevent. And so I think that went into the calculus. And when you add also into the calculus that the SIV process was at that point, very slow, deliberate, and not very responsive, with your help, we were able to curtail the time that it took to work through that process. But a number of things kind of came together to cause what happened to happen. But again, we provided our input, and we certainly would have liked to seen it go faster or sooner. But again, they had a number of things to think through as well. In terms of adjusting, or why the President chose to leave in the summer versus waiting until the next year, obviously a number of things went into his decision calculus. But you know, as we came on board, the agreement that had been made was that we were going to depart by May 1. We were able to work to get more time to ensure that we could conduct a deliberate and safe and orderly retrograde. But again, you know, the President made the decision that we would leave in the summer versus going into the next year. So, and I'll leave it at that, sir, pending any more questions.
Secretary, I want to know how we now protect the country going forward. Former CIA Director and Secretary of Defense Panetta said that our national security is threatened by the Taliban takeover. One of our missions was to prevent a haven for terrorist groups, and I quote, "We have failed in that mission," end quote. Similarly, the director of the DIA has assessed that al-Qaeda could threaten the homeland in 1 to 2 years. So I agree that over-the-horizon operations can be effective. However, I'm concerned that without complementary operations, they will be insufficient to keep us safe. Secretary Austin, are you confident that over-the-horizon capabilities on their own can mitigate the terrorist threat we face? Are you confident that we can prevent Afghanistan from becoming a haven? And how will you keep our country safe?
And I apologize, but the gentleman's time has expired, so that question will have to go unanswered.
I'd like that for the record.
Mr. Wilson.